Hi, welcome to Rouzati Rugs. Have you ever noticed on certain antique rugs that in the background color you'll notice a variation of color going on? This is known as Abrush. Now, I brought the expert, my dad, here to explain exactly what Abrush is. Dad, can you explain exactly why this develops over time?
Sure. Um, this rug is from like 1890s, 1900s, so it's about 120 years old. Back then, they did not have the facilities to dye all the yarn they needed for a big rug like this
Okay.
at once. So they dye gradually certain amount of wool. For example, they dye like 5 pounds of wool in blue background, red color or yellow, whatever color they needed, and they start weaving the rug. So for example, in this rug, they started from the bottom, they got to this point, and they ran out of that dye. So the next time they dyed a new batch of yarn, the color at that time was matched and it looked good as before. But over time, because the recipe of that dye was different, the sheep they used the yarn, they cut the wool from the sheep was a different season, or probably different quality of wool. It changes over time by just oxidation and just the aging.
So basically, you're saying that perhaps up until like from this area to this area where the rug was woven, the sheep, the wool was made during a specific season or a specific time. And then after that, where you see it goes more into this gray blue and then this lighter blue, it was a different season altogether.
Exactly. So up to this point, it was all dyed in one batch. And then in this period, it was a new dye, new batch of wool. And as I said, that period time, it was all the same color. And they didn't notice that. But this happened over the years. During 100 years, it gradually showed itself up because it was different recipe every time they dyed the yarn.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Now we'll show you a few other samples of rugs that have Abrush as well. So Dad, can you explain what type of a rug this
Sure.
is?
So this is an antique Persian Malayer. The pattern is the famous like Paisley design, or known also as a Saraban. Malayer is a village in central part of Iran, Persia. Now, as you can see, this rug is very interesting. There is many variation of colors happening. For example, up to here, when the weavers started and got to this point, they ran out of this color. So next time they dyed it, batch, they color finished up to here, and then they dye. So it shows that they use different batches of wool during the weaving process. Now, a rug like this usually takes about 2 years to finish. So imagine in period of 2 years, dyeing yarn every time. You might use different recipe of dyeing, different ingredients. Now, as I said, at that time, the color was uniform, all the same. But because it was dyed at a different period, different batches of wool, different sheep wool, and different season cut. For example, if the wool sheep they cut, it was in the winter time, now it's in the spring. There's different lanolin in the wool. So you get different effects. And this happens by aging and during 20, 30, 40, 50 years of time.
So let's say that you have a client and they look at this and they think that it's sun fading. How do you know that this is not a product of sun fading?
Sun fading, usually you see fading in part of the rug that has been exposed to sun in the surface. But if you turn this rug back, for example, like this here, if you notice here, that line that the color changed, this Abrush, also is exposed on the back as well as the front. So like this line here, the yarn changed. It is exactly the same as the back, and then it gets darker throughout the rug. So when you see the variation of color on the back and the floor the same, that means it's an Abrush. If you see the back of the carpet is all the same color, but the front you have variation, that is sun fading.
So come and check this out. We'll get some nice close-ups of the back and the front as well. So these are just two great examples of Abrush that you'll see in antique rugs. Now you know a little bit more about Abrush. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.